Good evening and welcome to 365 Days of Amazing Stories with Theo Mayer. Here we are on day 40 of 2024, and I'm continuing the story of Fire on the Mountain, Living with Wildfire and Big Sur. So what a dream. What a thing to have two prophetic dreams during a fire like this. It makes me believe that we are not alone here. It's people on the planet, but there are, in fact, other beings that we can't even see that communicate with us, share things with us. There are people that see. There are seers, see into these worlds. I'm lucky to have dreams where I feel like I do for a moment. But what a thing to be able to perceive those other worlds all the time. Rudolf Steiner was perhaps one of those people. His lectures would make one think that he was able to see into the other worlds, into the future, into the past, far differently than most of us. Change is what keeps it all beautiful. A hard thing to accept, really, because, how many of us wish to hang on to things just the way they are? Or we're having some beautiful moment and we don't want it to change. Relationships are constantly changing. You have a beautiful time with somebody and you wish it would never end, but then it just keeps moving into something else. There's a songwriter that says he wishes he could make the train stop. I think his father said he wished he could make the train stop, but it doesn't. It just keeps moving. When you're in this life, you just keep moving. But I guess maybe that is what meditative practices are meant to do, is to bring us to that place of silence. Perhaps there's a place deep within that does not change. The unmanifest, the transcendent, the unified field where everything springs from. Perhaps if we center ourselves there, we will be in that changeless space. I think the Buddhists talk about a place where wind does not cause the candle flame to flicker. Well, Chris and I, after that dream, I don't even know if I shared it with him. It was one of those things that you'd think, maybe I shouldn't share this. It's too out of this world. We got up. We went inside, made some food. It was smoky as could be outside, but we had really, truly been refreshed in that short amount of time we had slept. And I believe we were up and out of the cold room by 7:30 in the morning. We decided we'd go down the hill, show up at the fire brigade, see if they needed our help. And if they didn't, well, we'd do whatever we were going to do. We decided to take 2 vehicles down because Chris felt it was very important to go into town and communicate with people that would probably be worried about him, including his, at that point, fiancée, Lindsay. Well, we drove down and discovered that we were not needed that day. It seems that things in the canyon had quieted enough that firefighting was being done elsewhere, but not really off the roads in the canyon. Feeling like my place was safe, we decided we'd head into town, take 2 trucks down to the bottom of the canyon. In fact, I was just going to go down and make sure that Chris could get back in. Chris was going to run into town, communicate with people, pick up some supplies, and drive back. He was going to get irrigation supplies for people who had lost things in the fire, and water piping supplies for my friend Christian, whose entire water system had gotten burned up in the fire. Solar panels, solar pump, and then a great amount of PVC line that ran down the side of the mountain. It's kind of a significant loss. So we went down to where Palo Colorado Road meets Highway 1. And there we found an interesting scenario unfolding. There is a couple that lives above the fire station, John Hain and Jennifer Allen, and they generously supply the fire station with water. Now, their system was short a battery, a working battery. And so there was no way that they would be able to refill the tanks for the fire brigade. John was standing, talking with the highway patrolman, trying to convince him to let him go up and service his water system. And the highway patrolman was going to have nothing to do with it. John saw me come down, park my truck, and he stopped the conversation with the highway patrolman and walked over to my truck with a battery. And he asked me if I could take the battery up to his water system. And then he whispered in my ear, and he said, "Look, my son and I will meet you at the gate at Grimes Ranch." Now, the gate at Grimes Ranch was behind me at this point. It was in the canyon, past the highway patrolman. John was this determined to get to his water system and get it up and running. It would mean that he would drive back to Highway 1, drive down Highway 1 a little ways, and out of sight of the highway patrolman, go running across the field of the Grimes Ranch and get into my truck. He didn't leave me a lot of choice. I had told him that I couldn't bring him up without permission. And here it started unfolding. Now, some neighbors were standing there as well. Rurik and Allie, they lived halfway up Long Ridge. I had thought their house had burned down, but in fact it hadn't. And they were wanting to get in and check on things. And he looked at me, I looked at him, and I pointed to the gate at Grimes Ranch. And suddenly, the plan that Chris and I had made went to the wayside. We both turned our trucks around and started back up the canyon. Stopped at the gate at Grimes Ranch, and we'll leave the story there. Find out what happens next. Okay, thanks for joining. Have a good rest of your day.